Welcome to Take It from the Ironwoman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Ironwoman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Ironwoman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. Take it from the Ironwoman. We only have special guests. Today we go to Mosher. She is an artist. She is a contemporary eclectic abstract painter, coach, and successful female entrepreneur who specializes in art for fun, exploration, relaxation, and transformation, who lives and paints on Whidbey Island, Washington. We have to unpack a lot. Introduce yourself, Barb. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always a joy to speak to someone as delightful as you in your podcast. A little bit about me. I grew up in the Midwest outside of Detroit. Over the years, the weather got a little too harsh. I ended up ending up in San Diego and now in Whidbey Island. But I was an artist from a very young age, as most kids are creatives. And through environments and parents and the world around us, sometimes people get away from their art. And I did for a while myself. But then I decided that it's just where my heart sings when I'm creative or creating art or creating anything. I have one of those minds that's just constantly creating and trying to harness my creativity is my biggest challenge. But I went to art school in Michigan and studied industrial design, which is a very part of art that is very structured. While I loved doing that, the freedom and expression of abstract art let me soar, if I could use that word. It just made me fly to be able to do that and not stay in the restrictive elements of a graphic design or automotive design and such. I've done that pretty much my entire adult life through many entrepreneurial businesses, some art related, some not. However, in every single one, I used my creativity, which was a key, I think, to making things happen. Mm-hmm. But anyway, about 20 years ago, I decided to spend more time in my art, not as a hobby, but more devoted to more of my time.
I was reflecting. I had two other artists on my podcast, and I said, like, when I went to school, we learned French, English, German, math, geography, nothing creative. I got a little angry with my Swiss schooling curriculum, in a way envious when you hear in the US. And I went to college in the US later on in life. There I took a class in art. That was so cool.
With the creative learning or creative exercises and success in math and reading and dance. I mean, in music, it is all interchangeable and it all feeds on one another. Yeah. Without one, I don't know how you can do the other collectively in a whole way, in a wholesome and entire way. I think everyone should dabble in the creative. Yeah. If not, if they don't have the time, just dabble in it. Find something that intrigues you and pursue a little bit of it.
I think so.
Because it will lift your spirits. It will divert your attention from your problems. Yeah. It really does.
I think that's an interesting concept because when I paint or take photography, there's no problems in that moment.
Exactly. I've been painting a very long time, and the real goal of an artist, or not goal, what they seek is sometimes when you get into that creative space and then you lose your consciousness, it's like a meditation and you literally something is creating within you that you're not conscious of. I call it my little nirvana place. And it doesn't happen every time. But when it does, it's like bliss. I don't know how else to explain it. And, it probably very similar with a runner. You probably get, it's like a runner's high.
I just thought like, it's like you're getting into the flow. And I'm wondering, can you invite that?
I wish I could. I wish I could say, okay, today I want it. But you can't. It's just, you just have to, I think what you have to do is let yourself go and give yourself time. For me, music plays a tremendous part when I'm creating. And I listen to all kinds of music, from classical to jazz to heavy rock. I dance. Everybody laughs at me because I dance when I paint.
Ooh.
Nobody sees me, but I dance. I bring my whole body into my painting. It's like a whole experience. When you do let yourself go and get into that place, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it's almost there's a divine presence that's taken over.
I see you painting and it's in motion. When you say fun, exploration, relaxation, that all encompasses in a way movement with the music.
Right. Yes. Quite often I paint large. That gives me the ability to do that. But when I do smaller pieces, I may not move as much, but I still have that freedom that I'm trying to utilize one way or another.
When you say you have larger pieces, do you have a studio? So you have big
I have
space?
a studio. Actually, my garage has been converted to a studio. Yes. I painted a 6 foot by 6 foot piece not too long ago. Actually, 2 pieces. I thought, well, I love to paint that large. It's difficult to store that large. And it's difficult to move that large paintings to take to a show and things. I've had to tone it back down to 3 or 4 feet by 4 feet.
To be more practical in a way.
It's more practical.
I'm enamored by Jackson Pollock and his huge paintings. There, it's almost impossible to carry those paintings.
Right. Or a Rothko. Those are just...
This is like a meditation and you go into it.
Saw a Rothko one time at the San Diego Museum of Art. And there was a bench there and I sat and I looked at it. And I believe it was like the red and yellowish one. It just, I could feel the vibration of the painting sitting there. This woman came behind me with her friend and she says, I just don't get it. I just don't get what people see in that. I thought, wow, what am I experiencing that is so much different than this other person? Maybe it's because I sat there for a while with it, which I think is a big part of it. Abstract art in itself takes some time to appreciate abstract art because the human mind doesn't know what to do with something they don't recognize. They're confused. They want to see something tangible. Well, Rothko isn't that far abstract like some of them, but it's still, people need to take time and sit and look at it and try and understand what was the artist feeling or communicating or trying to do with what his or her work of art is. I think people just need to pause and take time and try and do that.
I would have sat with you. I love Rothko and I have seen his pictures or installations, you have to say, at the MoMA in New York City.
I wish I could take them all into my house and appreciate them on a daily basis.
Who would you invite? That's always something that I like to know.
When I was in art schools, like MC Escher, his weird little, there's just been so many, just Rothko, so many. I like many of them for different reasons. The Cubism with Picasso, it was so interesting. There's so many.
So you said you use music and you look at maybe, let's say, Picasso, Pissarro, Rothko, Rauschenberg, or whatever you have it, and you get inspired by them, or how do you start a piece of art?
Yeah, I wish I had a plan. I will have a plan on what I want to begin. But 9 times out of 10, once I start, it deviates from that. I kind of let my muse take over. whatever looks good, feels good at the time, I will do. Sometimes I will use just my hands with the paint. Sometimes I'll find different tools and color. I love color. I love experimenting with color on a canvas. And I love geometric shapes. And having been an industrial designer, that graphic design comes in occasionally. You'll see shapes in my work. But I don't know. I wish I could pinpoint that. I wish I could tell you. I wish I knew what I'm going to do. Now, I've got a series of little houses, little whimsical houses that are not really, they're abstract houses. But those, I decided, I've been a realtor for 20 years as well. And so homes and the environment in your house and stories around homes has always been interesting. So I did a series of these cute little whimsical houses. I go through phases with my art. And someone will say, boy, you do a lot of different styles. I do because I do that by choice. I'm not doing it to be pleasing as a commodity. I am doing it because that's what feeds me at the time, what I want to do. I will do a series of them, usually, when I'm in a certain genre, but I don't limit myself. I don't produce over and over and over again for the commercial aspect of it. Well, I still sell a lot of things. It's a diverse buyer.
Yeah, I like that because we can also, or at least I think we can look at life, do the same. Then it becomes a routine. It's monotonous. But if you diversify,
it keeps that creative juice going. Sometimes some things I do are pretty crazy. I have these faces I do. Like I did Einstein once. And I duplicated it. I didn't duplicate it. I did another Einstein recently, and it's mixed media. And it's kind of funky Einsteins. And I've done various ones. I did Shakespeare, and they're all mixed media, and they're kind of weird. And they take a lot of time. So I do something like that, and I'll go back to splashing paint all over.
I'd love to come and see your garage.
Yes, it is quite a little circus in there.
And in your biography, it also says you're a coach, an entrepreneur.
As I mentioned to you, I think art is a way to channel your emotions. If you're feeling anxiety, or if you have fear or grief, grief takes its form as anxiety. It can be because of a loss of something, or it could be grief because maybe you lost somebody in your life, but maybe a job didn't work out. And you're having all these feelings that you can't sometimes rein in. If you divert yourself to the creative process, and that comes in all forms, not necessarily just painting. There's music, and there's dance, and there's all sorts of things. You can, as I said, lift your spirit. You can diminish the negative emotions in your life and enhance and broaden and expand the positive emotions. If you do that enough, what you're going to see is the balance is going to shift. You're no longer going to be focusing or feeling that heaviness of some of those emotions, and you're going to feel lighter, and you're going to look forward to things. And art can bring that out. I am a coach to individuals, or I've got a class coming up called The Heart of Healing. And that will be coming up in about 6-8 weeks, geared just to handle tough emotions, fear, anxiety, stress. And we all have a lot of it now, especially in the last couple of years and what's culminating now. And people, I think, need something to bring them out of that.
Is it in person or is it virtual?
Well, now there's going to be on Zoom. I do have a few people here that have asked me if I would do some in person. It would be a very small group here if I do something like that. But yes, it's on Zoom. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. And I've had retail locations. I've had a graphic design business. I've had a few other things but like in the mid 80s, when we had a commercial laundry, we began the stone washing and acid washing of jeans. We did it for all the major jean manufacturers at that time, Levi, Guess, Jordache. We would truck semi-trucks to our laundry in the night. So the creative process of getting something like that going is another part of my creative soul.
I think this is fascinating. I'm an entrepreneur too. So you have to be creative, innovative. I also think you have to never give up. And probably the art is helping you to go further. If you don't have an answer, you go to art and that rejuvenates you again.
It's I don't use art. Exactly. I don't think it's only in certain areas. I think it can be utilized in all areas of being an entrepreneur. Creative ideas of what you're going to do next, or creative marketing, or creative ways to handle clients or customers, creative ways to handle negative issues with employees, such as I'm contemplating putting together a workshop for companies in team building using creativity. That's kind of in my formulation right now. But I think especially with the stress of employees and lack of employees, I think there's a need for some team building and camaraderie that could be utilized with the use of creativity tools.
Sometimes I think when we use the word creativity, people think of Picasso. Everybody has to be creative. I always say everybody is a CEO. You're the CEO of your own life. So you need to, maybe from 0 to 10, you're not a CEO as a kid. But then as of, I don't know, second, third grade, you make decisions. And
you're the CEO of your life. You're also a salesperson. Everyone is a salesman.
All the time.
Saleswoman. Everyone. You're either selling yourself or you're selling a commodity.
And selling your passion and intellect.
And selling your ideas. It just, all encompassing. That's a whole other
story, I know. Making it happen and say like, look, this could be something for you, or painting the picture when you sell a home.
The storytelling or the verbal, like you're painting a picture verbally.
We can learn so much from you. If somebody is new in any field, you mentioned one thing, you need to sell. What else can we learn? What wisdom do you have for us?
It depends where they are in their knowledge base, first of all. Do they have an idea? Write down ideas, do brainstorming. I'm a huge advocate for doodling. That gets you out of your head and start doodling. Go for a walk and don't listen to music. Go by yourself. Go for a walk and see what the ideas come to. My best ideas come when I drive in the car and I don't have the radio on. So that's what you need to do, is you need to get away from distractions if you don't have an idea for your entrepreneurship. But if you have an idea, then you got to get to the creative process. How do you get it out there? How do you make it known? How do you find your audience? How do you implement it? That's all creativity. It's using our innate ability. All of us have it.
We just need to awaken it, right? So I think some people are like, no, I'm not an entrepreneur. No, I'm not an artist.
Everyone is. You just have to recognize it and allow it.
And sprinkle in that fun, as you said. When we read your biography, it's about the fun that we need to sprinkle in.
You got to find that glitter. Keep going. Keep that creative self alive. Just do that. Just as I say, as I close, many of my work is just go out there and art on, friends. Art on.
What an uplifting conversation. Art can help in teamwork. Art can help you in any life situation. And everybody is creative. Everybody has some creativity. Unleash it. Take it from the Ironwoman. We have episodes every Monday. There's something for everybody. And Take It from the Ironwoman started out as a book. Take It from the Ironwoman, Global Business Coaching with Sports Parallels. Read about my journey from Switzerland to New York to Kilimanjaro and the Ironman. Thank you so much for your support.